Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we have an incredible return guest, Miss Karen Calabrese. She's all the way in Chicago and she is incredible. She's almost 80 years young. She is thriving and I believe over 5 decades raw vegan. She's even been on the Oprah show and she's incredible. So we're going to learn so much about how she lives this healthy lifestyle and how we can be like her when we're approaching 80 because don't we all just want to live our best life? So let's get into it. Hey Karen, how are you? Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, Jillian. I think this is my third time with you, sweetheart. I'm so honored. You brought me back again. Thank you. I must have done something right, right?
Yeah, you were total goals. You were glowing right when I saw you when we got on. I'm just like, you just shine better and better each and every time I see you. So tell us, like, what are the secrets here?
Well, I got makeup, makeup, but you know what? I have been, and because I've been traveling, and it's really an airplane is one of the most toxic places to be on the planet with all the radiation and all. But what I have been working on, which has been a goal for me, if people are working toward being plant-based or raw or this, and my goal has been to not eat after sundown. Because having restaurants for a lifetime, it feels like, and all the things I've done and all the socializing, we're always eating after sundown. So I have really made it a goal. Have I been 100%? No. But the goal is, and I go like 10 days, 15 days, or 12 days, or 3 days, whatever works in my life at that point. But I'm telling you, it's probably one of the most significant things I've done. I say that about wheatgrass and about being plant-based but we're always getting new chapters to go with. And
Yeah.
maybe a lot of people are doing it already, but I'm telling you, not eating after sundown, and it changes with the seasons, so it's harder to do. I have lost more weight, which when you're a raw foodist, I'm not looking to lose more weight. I like the size I was. But that nighttime eating, you don't realize what it's doing because the body isn't processing it. So I know that making it more of a goal, since I don't own the restaurant and spa and all of that, to not eat after sundown, I think has created a different level for me in my whole healing process.
Wow. And is it kind of a relief not to have all the businesses now with the restaurant spa and everything? Is it kind of like, in a
You know
little
what?
way, is it kind of a relief?
It's a double-edged sword, okay?
Mhm.
Because in one way, it's like, whew, I can get from the parking lot to the building without somebody telling me about their bowel movements, right? Or
Yeah.
asking me what they ate, telling me what they ate yesterday or whatever, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was my mission in life, to be there for people. But it is, I have more of me. And that's what I notice more than anything. I have more of me than I've had in 50 years because I've been dispersing myself, but that's apparently what I was put here on the planet to do in so many directions, 14 days a week, 14 hours a day, that wow, I get up, I don't have to be there. I have all these clothes. I don't know where I'm going to wear them. No, I'm just joking. but but
Yeah.
it's a new experience to have more of me and not feel the responsibility to give away so much of myself, which I believe a lot
Yeah.
of you doing so much online are already doing. I just hadn't figured it out, you know.
Wow, I love that. I think a lot of us do that. I think a lot of us are giving too much. Sometimes I am, and then I get really overwhelmed. I'm like, there's not enough time for me. So
Well, I
I'm
didn't
here for
even
that.
know I was overwhelmed, even because I've
Yeah.
been doing it for so long. I didn't even realize until it stopped
Hmm.
so abruptly. And it was like I had to face all of these different things because for 50 years, I've had a reason for what I was supposed to give back to the universe, planet, spirit, however, you interpret it. And now I'm doing things differently and I'm loving that too. So
Hmm.
I guess the point of this story is to embrace and love every chapter of your life, no matter the age isn't the chapter, it's what's going on in your life. That's the chapter. Embrace it and just go as much like the flow of water as you can to see where it's going to take you next.
Yeah, I guess be open to the change, right? Not so much clinging on to our lives that we get in our head being like a certain way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And okay, so almost 80, like you are thriving. This is total goals because this isn't normal these days, right? Unfortunately, I'm close with some people in this age range and unfortunately not like this. And I wish that everyone was healthy like this. So do you think you'd be here today, thriving like this without the raw foods?
Well, you know my story, Jillian, and I'll tell it to your new subscribers. But I shouldn't be here today. All the women in my family died overweight and very young. My mother was 47, my grandmother was 50, and my great grandmother was 60. So I'm claiming 78. I don't know what illness is. I don't know what tiredness is. I don't know what sickness is. I don't know what fear is of being old and sickly. I don't know what surgery of any kind, or although I had bone surgery, I've broken some bones. But I mean, I'm talking about facelifts or
Hmm.
fillers or any of the things that people feel it's just a part of life. I've been able to prove to myself up until this point, I don't need. And it is through my lifestyle of eating a raw food, plant-based diet. But there's so many more aspects to it. And that's what I'm finding out more. We have this huge thing on Instagram or on all over the internet or whatever about meat versus plant-based and this person, that and raw food. But really, the direction of life is finding what's going to work for you in this moment, continuing to grow and transition, not be stuck in any one point, accept and love everybody no matter where they are or what they're doing, and have a goal. And the goal changes. My goals, I didn't start out to this. I was a carnivore, and then I was a vegetarian, and then I was a vegan, and then I was raw. So I went over bridges to get here. And I do believe that sometimes people feel in this day and age with all the information, I got to do it tomorrow. And that's a lovely thought, but I don't know too many people that can actually do that. And those that can kind of have a dime up their butt, they're so uptight about life.
Hmm.
So I think my vision now, my mission, what I like to give people is the permission to enjoy the growth no matter where you are in the process. Yes, raw food, yay, yay, yay. But you know what? I can sit here and preach it, and 200,000 other people aren't ready to do it. And are they just going to feel bad about themselves or ignore? No, find a place that you can feel comfortable in the process of change.
Wow, I love that. And you're right. You know what? There's so many people out there that are like, this is the way, your way's wrong, your way's wrong, your way's wrong. And it's just like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So I so agree with you that everybody has to listen to themselves, follow their path. And what do you feel like in for you has been the right way of eating? Like for you, what has been like the best way, the correct way, the way that makes you thrive through these years?
Well, of course, when I was a carnivore, I didn't know any different. When I became a vegetarian, I thought, oh my God, look how great I feel. And then I became a vegan. It was like, really? This is how we're supposed to be? And then I became raw and was like, oh my God, I thought I could walk on water. And then I gave up all sugar and sweets for 6 months, and I went, oh my God, and now I'm working on the decalcification of my pineal gland. It's always something to strive for. So I think as long as you keep yourself informed and learning, there's going to be something to strive for. But definitely raw foods, you know, number one, you don't age at the rate other people do. you know,
Mhm.
the energy that you keep, because this is the way God intended every animal on the planet to eat, is raw food, whether it's raw meat or raw chicken or raw whatever. We're supposed to be eating it raw because of the enzymes and the oxygen and the life force that we get from living foods for living cells and living beings. So, with that being said, yes, if this is your belief system, this is the way you're supposed to eat, and this is the way you're supposed to do, and this is what served me, kind of breaking the chains of the way my whole family, the way it went. But yeah, being a raw food is. I have to say, over the years when I've opened up restaurants and I maybe dabbled in a little cooked here and there is a stark difference in how you feel, absolutely, and look and
Mhm.
smell.
Yeah, all correct. And what about like, have you ever done high fruit? Do you think it can affect our sugars and our insulin and it's better to be balanced and have the greens and stuff?
Well, here's the deal. I actually have a course that I've taught for about 15 years called the sugar break. And that's when you do my sugar break, you can either go off white sugar or honey or wherever you are. But if you do the full process, you even go off of fruit. So here's my thinking of fruit. When we roamed the planet and we had to protect ourselves, and yes, we needed fruit, and that high fructose. And I think if you lived in the jungle, it could probably serve you very well right now. And I
Mhm.
also believe if you're anywhere between, if you're just coming to this process from 20 to like maybe 35 or 40, you won't have a lot of the negative responses from it. But for me, At my age, if I were to go on all fruit, living in a city with all the stresses and things I have, it would send my blood sugar levels way up to the top of the sky, and it would create all kinds of imbalances in me internally. When women come to me, I work with people one-on-one, and they are having all these hot flashes and get off any kind of sugar, even the fruit sugar. You could have like a bowl of fruit and go to bed, and all of a sudden you're going to have hot flashes. Don't have that bowl of fruit. And I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor. I will
Yeah.
say that this is all based on, what I've learned about myself and working with people. You won't have the sugar hot flashes. So
Mhm.
even the natural sugar, because of the circumstances that we live in, the oxygen levels, all kinds of things, we can't process the sugars the same way we did in prehistoric times. Plus, they've screwed up all the sugars anyway, whether it's genetically modified of other, corn doesn't taste like it tasted 100 years ago, nothing tastes the same. So when I started this sugar break detox I don't like the word detox. I'm sorry, cleanse or
No, it's
change.
okay.
I'm so sick of the word detox, and I started
True. I
with
guess
it
you're right.
50 years
You do
ago.
hear that word everywhere. I
Oh my
detox
God.
this,
And it,
detox
and it
that.
and it could mean I'm just going to sip some ice cream today. That's a detox.
Yeah.
Anyway, but when I started this course that I teach, and I was advertising, someone contacted me right away. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, fruit, Karen. There's this guy in the jungle, and he's 90 years old, and he climbs the tree every day to get his fruit, and he's eating nothing but fruit. I said, but here's the word. He climbs the tree to get the fruit.
Hmm.
He's not driving to the supermarket. He's not riding around to get it. He's not getting it delivered. He's climbing the tree to get the fruit. So if you have that kind of exertion and you're living in a tropical zone, absolutely be a fruitarian. I think those of us that are living in cities and in alternative circumstances to how God's Spirit intended us to live, I think too much isn't going to serve you for too long. And I
Hmm.
also believe living out here where I live now, you see such a high incidence of Alzheimer's and dementia. And the too much sugar is the calcification of the brain, it's the heart, and it's all of these sweets. So no, I'm not a big believer for myself on being a fruitarian diet, but c'est la vie. People have to try and treat their bodies as their own laboratories.
And yeah, you're right. Like too much sugar, no matter what kind of lifestyle you're on, like especially the people on standard American and stuff. I check my blood sugars now. I wear a thing. I'm like so into this topic because I
You're
think
so
it's one of the
cute.
biggest problems facing the world today. A lot of people are running around with elevated blood sugars. And then before, if they don't catch it and they don't know, year after year, you can get neuropathy, nerve damage. You can have a heart attack, a stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's all like elevated blood sugars long term, right? It's just the most important topic
That
ever, I think. So that's why I'm interested. That's why I was asking you about it. This is the incredible CGM monitor I wear by NutriSense 24/7 to monitor my blood sugar. You guys, this is the best purchase and the best thing I've ever discovered in my health journey. I cannot recommend this enough. They've given me a special promo too because I reached out to them. So you guys can save $50 with code GILLIANBERRY50. I'll put it down below. What I love about these people as well is you can meet with them and have nutritionists slash blood sugar experts analyze in the app what's going on with your blood sugars. You guys, I had no idea, even on a healthy lifestyle, that I had blood sugar problems and still until I started checking it 24/7. If I just went by my A1C, which is 4.91, and if I just went by the fasting glucose at the doctor's, then I would think everything's okay. But I realized many times the numbers are not okay and not good and spiking up and down to levels that totally shocked me. So this has totally taken me to a new level of health. I have learned how to get those numbers in check. I've taken on so many different habits. I used to just eat and sit all day, you guys. Sitting is the new smoking, and it's so bad for your blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar can lead to diabetes, which can lead to stroke, heart attack, getting body parts amputated, blindness, so many things that we want to avoid. So check your blood sugars. I cannot recommend this product enough. I'll put the link down below with the code, and let's get moving. That's a big thing that's changed my life and so many other things. Check your sugars and let's get back to the podcast. So you do these sugar detoxes. So I'm interested.
yes.
Maybe I'll try this. I've never
The
tried this
sugar
actually, I
break,
think.
yes.
Yeah,
And
so
what I do is I have certain herbs that we use to help balance your blood sugar levels at the same time, that you're doing this, because so much of it is on a cellular level, I mean, since you were a child, you've been getting sugar in some way for emotional reasons, for all kinds of reasons. So this is still in your body on a cellular level, and we can fight it, fight it, fight it. But how do you transition over a bridge to feel comfortable with it, so that when you do get it, it doesn't feel comfortable? So absolutely, I do certain herbs. We actually even wear, I have one here. We wear this little rubber band for the
Hmm.
people who choose. It says, "I'm on a sugar break." Because it's so automatic. You're involved in the world of doing this, but for other people trying to do it, you just walk by somebody's desk and there's a peppermint there. People bring donuts. I'll never forget, I had a whole group of women doing the class together, and one woman's niece was graduating. She said, "Oh, you should see these donuts I bought her." And I said, "Really? Okay, great." But you know what? We just don't think how it's a very insidious form of entertainment that people get into in the world. And you're absolutely right for being on get rid of the sugar, even the fruit, for short periods of time.
Yeah. And they're eating like I interview some people who used to eat standard American and their sugars were like fours, 500s all the time. I'm like,
Yeah, the
their
carbs are
blood
doing
sugars,
it.
like that is so dangerous. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And yeah, like
It's crazy, but I'm going to throw in another thing, Jillian, because I'm another world. It's crazy from the high blood sugar, but they're not on a standard American diet, and maybe they're not eating animals anymore. So they're doing something positive in the world.
yeah, true. And it
You
is
know,
it is the amount of exercise and movement we get and stuff too. I've noticed since I start because I monitor my blood sugars now
you're
all the
so
time.
cute.
No, because I realized I haven't talked about it on the channel yet. Maybe the videos be out by the time this comes out, but I realized I had higher sugars. And I was like, "What?" Like I started to have some stuff happening. And then so I
Mhm.
realized I had higher sugars. So I've been wearing this all the time. So I've totally changed the way I do things, like how I start my day with what I'm eating. I move after every time I eat now because movement is so important. I don't overeat. I was overeating before. I try not to eat late, like you were saying, and I prioritize my sleep. So now my fasting blood sugars are not elevated. They're like 70s, they're in line, they're level. But it's just really cool being able to see like the different effects of different things I eat. And like for instance, today I'm not moving. I'm sitting and I'm doing podcasts back to back all day. And then between podcasts, I actually had like a thing of just raspberries. And then it put my sugars out of range, and they haven't been out of range in a long time because I monitor
Well,
them and
I'm going to
everything.
give you another little secret that you can use that I learned from Dr. Gabriel Cousins 50 years ago that I do. When I do have sweets, this is our green magic. It's a very strong form of algae, but do some form of green behind it. So do
Mhm.
some kind of spirulina or wheatgrass or moringa, or do some kind of green, and it'll help balance it out. So like sitting there all day to day with your raspberries, if you had a green cup of something to juice, not of green juice, but like something very strong like spirulina, our green magic, green living fiber, some kind of green that helps cut that sugar effect on your body.
Yeah, because I didn't even really wasn't even aware of the effect until now. Now I'm starting to study it and everything. And it's no diss to fruit. Listen, I love my fruit as much as everybody else, and I still
Mhm.
eat a lot of fruit. And anybody watching, you can see a lot of fruit eaters on this channel. So like no diss at all, just sharing what works for me. But so when you do these sugar detoxes, like so you remove all forms of sugar and
Absolutely. The only thing I allow are like red peppers and, things that people would technically call vegetables as fruits, but if it has a seed, it's a fruit. And we do use monk fruit, but it's got to be pure monk fruit. And we do use stevia. I personally don't care for the taste of stevia. And we use a lot of dates. I make a date, I have recipes I give with it. And we do a date paste, which actually is fiber and helps balance blood sugar levels too. So we use dates. And we have these little things that I manufacture called balance bites that
Mhm.
you can purchase, and they're like little tiny chocolate bits. They don't taste delicious, but if you put them in your body because of the greens with them and the cacao and whatever, it kind of balances that craving for sugar that you're having. So there are ways to do this comfortably, and I really applaud you with the platform that you have of getting this out there, because I've been talking about this for years. When I read William Duffy, when my little boy, who would have been 54, 55, and he had ADHD and all these problems, I read William Duffy's Sugar Blues, and I took all the sugar out of our house. He was also epileptic. It was amazing how everything changed when I did
Wow.
that. So I've been on this sugar kick for a lot of years, and it's just so nice to see someone with such a huge platform as yours, take it on, because William Duffy, Sugar Blues, read it, it tells you everything.
Wow, that's incredible. So You don't cut sugar all the time. You just take periods of times where
No,
you
I
take a
take
break from it, right?
breaks.
That's great. And then you notice benefits, like personally, you notice you benefit
Oh,
from the
shoot,
cleanse.
I notice how I look too, because
Yeah. I'm like,
the
whoa.
glycosides and the sugar also age you. And as I've said on some of your other shows, I do this as much for vanity as I do for health. And
Hmm.
so the sugars actually do, and that's another reason. I just got back from Poland. They invited me over there to speak, and it was a raw food group, and they had the most delicious raw food on the planet. And they had this salted caramel ice cream. I was eating gallons of it, and I could see the difference in how I looked because it was raw, it was pure, it was clean,
Yeah,
but it wasn't for my system on a consistent basis. But you know what? So what? I had fun. I enjoyed it. If that's the worst thing I ever do, God bless me,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And how have you been feeling these days? You feel good?
I feel tremendous. I really do. I've redirected my life, which is what your life is. It's chapters. And this new chapter, since I closed the spa and the restaurant, has been very interesting. It's taking me a minute to click into everything, but I've been invited as a guest speaker in different places. I was in Poland, I was in St. Thomas, I was in Lansing, Michigan. I've been at a couple of churches. So I'm getting the word out in a different way. I love to speak to people, and I will be holding retreats. I found the most phenomenal house here in Michigan in the Midwest, and it is so beautiful. And I planned on holding retreats because people used to be able to stop by the restaurant and hang out with me and ask me questions. So
Hmm.
I'm going to give people the opportunity to come hang out and spend 4 or 5 days with me, live my life as I do, and do some growing and regeneration and redirection of your life because it isn't just the food; it's so many more aspects
Mm.
to it.
Yeah, it's so many more aspects. What do you think are some other things that are really important to you? Like with health, like overall
Yes,
health.
yes. Well, always working on the sugar thing. By the way, diabetes ran in my family. My great grandmother had a leg amputated to it.
Oh,
But also working on the spiritual side. I'm becoming much more aware of the pineal gland and more so the outside forces, not just what we're doing to not cough and be sick or get a cold or not age, but what are we doing for the redirection or building of our souls that we're actually here for to do. So I've been doing that kind of work, and it's interesting. And being at this chapter of my life, a lot of people are leaving, and so it's questioning, not questioning, but thinking about how this works for me next. Is how this works for me, and in a way, I'm a little bit excited. In a little ways, I don't know. It's just another whole world that I'm delving into now that I've kind of done the whole food thing for so long. It's the next chapter.
yeah, amazing. And the pineal gland, did I say it right? I know what you mean. Like is it, how do you know when it needs cleansing? Is there any way to know if it's like calcified and we need to cleanse it, or are we just going to assume that it probably does if we've been,
Going to assume that it probably does if
yeah,
you've been living your life.
yeah,
But unless you've been a monk up in the Himalayas somewhere, meditating and praying, and you've never had 1 ounce of bad food in your life, because the foods do calcify it also. It isn't just, I just think it's just getting in touch with a different aspect of the world than I've had previously. You
mm-hmm.
know, it's just getting in touch with a different aspect. This whole trip to Poland gave me a whole different view of things. Everything I'm doing, I'm looking at things differently. I spent so many years teaching and healing myself and others through foods and meditation and whatever. And I guess I'm looking to kind of be taken over again in another respect. And it's happening because I think what happens is the more intuitive, the more in tune, the less outward things, the importance change. I'm not saying good or bad. I think that's how you realize your pineal gland is coming awake, living in that opened eye, third eye of something else. I know I'm getting a little too woo-woo
No,
there,
no, no,
but
I love it. I'm here for it. I love it. Like, I love it. And okay, what do you think are some of the keys to making this healthy lifestyle work long term? Because you do see a lot of people and like some raw vegans that are like, oh, it worked for a long time, but then it didn't work. And then I went back to animal products and I felt better. Like I realized I needed animal products. And then they really turn their backs on the lifestyle and they're like, this
right,
lifestyle is
right.
dangerous. So, like, why do you think that that happens to some people? I know you're like, everybody has to follow what's right for them. And I totally agree with that. But you've made it work all these years, right? Like you're not falling apart, you're thriving, you're where we want to be when we're at this
I
age.
always say in my lectures, I feel I'm living proof that it works. You
Yeah.
know, What I think is the most important thing, no matter what you're eating or how you're eating, is to spend specific time cleansing and detoxing the entire body. There, I said the word, but I have not missed detoxing my body in 50 years. And I meet people like, oh, I did a detox 5 years ago, or I did it a year ago, or I did it 6 months ago. For me, I do it 4 times a year with the changing of the seasons. Like the trees detox, they lose their leaves and then regrow. Everything goes through a shedding and a regrowing period. And I think if you don't allow some form of shedding and regrowing, things just pile on and pile on and pile on. And then you're like cement, you just drop, you know.
Yeah.
But if you take the time to break down and rebuild, so I really believe that that's the secret to my vitality that I feel I enjoy, and people tell me, is because I don't stop detoxing. I mean, I did a very major one this October. I did it all wrong, everything I tell people not to do, and I suffered, but I needed to do that. But I take the time to break down and rebuild a minimum of 4 times a year. I've been teaching the class that I have for over 50 years. So much of it is what I learned from Dr. Wigmore. So much of it I learned from being studying in Asia, going to the Orient with my husband. But I have a specific program, and I've done mine, but I've done others too. And I like to remind people there are many roads to the top of the mountain, and maybe you want to do this one this
Mhm.
month, and 6 months later do this one, and keep moving forward to break down those layers. So to me, that's the secret: is that no matter what I'm eating, 100% plant-based, raw, whatever, I still detox.
Yeah, because maybe you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't do any detoxing. Because I know some people give detoxing a bad name and they act like, oh, here we go. Like it's too extreme. You shouldn't be talking about detoxing. It's people should just be eating a lot of food, eating balance. But like maybe it's not natural for us in the olden
But it's
days to
not
just be
natural to eat
eating
the
all
amount
the
of.
time.
Oh, that is so unnatural. And I have to tell you,
Mm,
don't be mad at me, my people out there. But if I see one more influencer with a thing of food that takes up the whole page of food, I mean, just people eat
yeah.
way too much food, food, food. And I say in my classes all the time, hold up your fists. This is the size of your stomach. It's a tiny little sack in there. And all of this food, I mean, I eat so little food that people would wonder how I exist. But the reality is, we were originally breatharians in my world. Then you became a fruitarian, then a vegan, then a raw vegan, and then a I mean, it's a whole time. So people just eat way too much. And I see all my beautiful plant-based people with all this food showing. I want to go, no, no, no. I can't. If I go
Yeah.
someplace, I have to get another plate because they put too much food on the plate, the salad. I have to take it off and do it in small amounts.
No, I'm with you on that now. I used to kind of think, well, as long as you're eating healthy, eat in abundance, eat as much
Right.
as you want. And I would overeat. And like I said, I would drink a lot of smoothies, overeat, and then sit all day and work on my channel. And then I realized, okay, why are my blood sugars testing high? Duh. Like, I wonder why I'm eating too much. Like, so I'm with you now. I do not think we should overeat. And I think, yeah, the cleanses and the detoxing, you're onto something with that. I think, and I like how you do like once a season, like 4 times a year.
Yeah. And I will just add, and I think it's so wonderful the way you found it and the whole wearing the thing and everything. But I promise you, if you detox your body, you won't need that. You will know because we all intuitively know what's right, and it
Hmm.
just gets covered up.
Yeah.
So just know that you're doing this for your initial, but you will know. You won't have to test. And people who aren't ready to do all that, if you just cleanse, it's amazing what your body will tell you that you need to know if you listen, because it really isn't all outside of us. It's really in us. And that's what a detox is really for. It isn't to lose weight or to get over the hypertension. It's to get in touch with you again, to break down those layers of toxicity that we build up just being alive,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it
just
just reminds
living.
me, like, don't you feel like it's, well, everyone's life experience, they have to create whatever they want. But don't you feel for you, it's a better life experience eating the raw foods like this because you do feel closer to God, right? More spiritual, more connected to
Oh,
God.
I mean, there's no way you can't feel a, well, there is a way you can't feel a
Hmm.
connection if that isn't your way for doing it. And I didn't
Yeah.
always feel this way either. It has grown to this. I didn't have the internet to tell me what I should be thinking and feeling. I didn't have people. I had to read a few books and, meet the right people. So it was more of an evolution. I figured it out for myself. And this is what I encourage people to do, is to detox, to learn about you. Yes, the weight will go, the hypertension, the cramps, the headaches, the cancer, whatever it is you're working on, because every challenge is just the body telling you, I have too much of what I don't need and not enough of what I do. But what happens is when you detox consistently, as I have, and I've taught for 50 years, you get that, every cell in your body is telling you what you need to know. You don't need outside forces to give it to you. Yes, I'm grateful that we have those now for those, but you know what's right for you.
True, true. And another thing, so I just interviewed, do you know Chef AJ? I interviewed her recently.
Oh, sure. Yes, yes. 'Cause she's such a beautiful soul.
Yeah,
And
she's so funny and amazing. So she's been diagnosed, unfortunately, with stage
I
three
saw
B
that.
word, which is just, I mean, and I interviewed her and she said that she realized she wasn't having enough fun. Like she was eating really clean, like in her passion and purpose and stuff. And like a lot of things are obviously amazing in her life, but she realized she wasn't having fun anymore and I guess was like stressed and stuff. So do you think that that sort of thing plays a
You
big part in
said
our
it
life?
right there. That's what I was going to tell you when I said it's not about holding a dime up your butt to do it. That's exactly what I was talking about. I'm going
Hmm.
to do this. It's going with the flow of your life. We are water. We're not 70% water, our brains, our body. We are supposed to go with the flow. And it's nice to have this incentive and whatever it is to do it right. But you have to let go and go with the flow too. I did her show a couple of times and she's a phenomenal human being. And I
Hmm.
saw that, but I also saw her her success and her rigidity in her success. So when I
Hmm.
first heard the news, I wanted to reach out to her, but she didn't ask me. And that's the other thing I've learned. If somebody doesn't ask, don't tell.
Hmm.
Keep your mouth shut. But, I've seen people in similar circumstances, and I know she's already chosen to take the route she's taking, which you have to do what feels right for you. But there could be a different outcome too in different ways. I'm not saying that she won't have a good outcome too. I'm actually dealing with someone
Hmm.
very close to me in my family right now going through that. And all that I've done and for all these years, nobody wants to hear what I have to say right now. So it just leads me to realize that we are here for our own process and to learn, and for people to learn from us what they learn.
Hmm.
I have not been to a doctor in 50 years, and I don't recommend that for anybody else. I don't get mammograms, I don't get pap smears, I don't get my general checkup. I don't do any of that. And I don't think anybody else should be in that process unless it comes to them to do that. But I don't want to be told something, you see, because I'm such an empath and I manifest so easily that I would concentrate on that instead of here's a challenge, what do I need to do next?
Hmm.
That I know to do next. So I applaud her for doing what she feels is comfortable and my relative right now, but it terrifies me to be in mainstream medicine's hands. It really does.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
It
Someone,
just,
the person I'm closest to in the whole world, like I can't say who it is because they're very private. They have stage four right now and it's so bad and it's just breaking my heart. I literally cry every single day and I can't like
you
talk about
can't
it
do,
specifically because they're private. I can't do anything and it's just it's crazy. Theirs is so bad that even the medical industry said like there's no point even
yeah.
doing anything.
That's my relative too. I'm at the same place. And I go, and I made one statement. I said, oh, wait. And I was immediately shot down and was like, nobody wants to hear it.
No. So if it say, okay, I don't want to put this out there because I know nothing would happen to you, but like say, say
I
something,
know
say you
exactly
were
what,
in a health crisis, what route would you take? Because
and I
sometimes I
have
think
had
this about
many
myself.
over the years since I've been doing this. I've had many health crises. And
Yeah.
my daughter and my son both have a directive. God forbid something comes about. Let me go from what I created, not what they do.
Hmm.
So I have that in writing. I have it all. And I have had major challenges on this 50 years of my journey. And I have and I will probably do a video eventually. I mean, my mother, she went to get her teeth cleaned and had a couple of, and then they diagnosed the cancer in her mouth. It went to her brain, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't go to a dentist for 25 years. It was an
She got
emotional thing.
diagnosed at the dentist. They noticed she had a cancer in her
No,
mouth.
it didn't heal. And
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's how it got diagnosed. So I didn't go to a dentist for 25 years. And needless to
Yeah.
say, I totally screwed up my mouth. So when I finally did go, uh, to get some implants or whatever I needed, they did that MRI and they found a thing in my forehead, and I had the CD with it. And they said, you have to go immediately to the University of Chicago and get this biopsied, and before we'll do any work on you. And I said, okay, bye bye. And that was 12 years ago. So it's like, and I don't recommend that for anybody. Okay. And
Yeah.
who knows what I have created or not created, but I kind of live in my little bubble of
Hmm.
what I'm comfortable with,
Hmm.
and it has served me well.
Hmm. So I'm new to America too. I'm Canadian over here. I used to live in
Yes.
Toronto and I moved to Miami last August. So the whole healthcare system here too, it's like a totally different ballgame than Canada. In Canada, like everything is free all the time, okay? Like
It's
so like
all, I've had doctors tell me medicine, illness is a business. It is a business in this country. And God
yeah.
forbid, at my age, when they get me, I'm a cash drawer. It just for me. And I've interviewed several doctors. When this whole meat thing came out, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I've interviewed several doctors, and they've said to me, in our country, we learn to manage illness, not heal it, manage it. And in management, there's money.
It's a
So
big business. Like I never seen anything like it. I'm new to it. Like we got healthcare here. I wasn't going to at first. And then I was like, okay, my daughter, she's sometimes clumsy. She's broken a couple
right.
arms back in Canada. So I was like, we got it. And then I actually a few months ago went to the ER for something because I thought something was wrong. So I was just like, well, we have healthcare. I'll go and make sure everything's okay. Like I'm never sick, but I was like, something's wrong. What's happening? So I went, they wanted to do one thing, check all my blood work, which they did, check all my urine, and then they wanted to check my brain because they were like, oh, like these symptoms, maybe there's a tumor, we don't know. So they did these three things. And then last week I got the bill. Like, guess how much for a 4 hour, guess how much, Karen, for a 4 hour visit?
How much?
Guess how much they charged? Take a guess. Just what do you think?
5,000?
$37,000. I was like, is this a joke? I thought, are they just little kids playing make believe, like playing house with the numbers? Is this a joke? This is more than my car's worth. This is more than my Range Rover's worth. I swear to God. And then they charge me 2,200 because I have insurance, thankfully, but I still have to pay. And I'm like, 2,200. This is ridiculous. But they're like,
And
no,
therein lies why I don't go to doctors. And I have
I'll never
Medicare.
go again.
No, I mean that I don't. But aside from that, they're in the business of finding something wrong.
And
Okay.
Karen, they have things on there that never took place. They have an abdomen and pelvic scan for $16,000 that never happened. And I said to my insurance broker, this never happened. She was like, yeah, this happens sometimes, it's like fraud. They just add these things on like 16 grand. You can get a Kia car for that, right? Like, is this for real? And then it's like medical expense, 5 grand. I'm like, this is insane. Imagine I just didn't have any insurance and then I got that
Well,
bill.
until I married I was a single mom for a while. Until I married my husband, I was a totally hippie chick. I didn't have insurance because I used to say to myself, why am I going to pay somebody and bet them I'm going to get sick? I'll just save some money aside. If I break a bone or something, I can pay seven, eight,
Yeah.
$300. But I'm not going to pay monthly to bet them that I'm going to get sick. So here's another story with that. So I never had insurance. Then when I married my husband 41 years ago, he was Mr. Businessman and I got insurance. So the whole time I'm married to him, I don't use the insurance for anything. I think I broke a bone or something or whatever. And then he retires. And so I'm off his insurance and I've got to get insurance. And everywhere I called, I didn't have a primary doctor and nobody wanted to insure me. And it's like, I'm the person you want to insure. It's
Yeah.
never going to cost you anything.
Right?
But the system is so ass backwards
Yeah.
in
It's
this country.
it's crazy. And the hospitals are all privately owned, right? I wasn't
They're
gonna get insurance for me. Like at first I was like, just get it for the kids, but I'm living in Miami. These people all drive around like they've all just done like 15 lines of coke. They're going through red lights. They drive like lunatics. So I'm like, I gotta have something here because it's like they're crazy. And I thought it was so funny too because they when they do random blood work at the hospital in Miami, they check you for cocaine.
Oh my God.
It was on my blood work, cocaine negative. I'm like,
I'm telling you, I stay far away from the healthcare system. And like I said, especially at my age, if I went in for a checkup and I'm feeling great, they come up with 5 things to tell me, and then it would be like voodoo in my brain. I mean, I've had some very serious health
Mhm.
challenges in these 50 years, but I've always taken it as you're not doing enough of this. You need to do more of this. You need to learn this. And I've changed the lifestyle. This is what's gotten me to where I am. So it's not to say you won't have any challenges. It's not to say that, but that's what we're here for. It's the University of Life. We're here to learn and grow, not be stuck and complacent. And
Mhm.
so it's when you're given a challenge, you check in, you detox, you cleanse. That's what I always do when I'm given a challenge. It's like, okay, got too much of this, not enough of this, and I need to learn something else.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. And
Instead
yeah,
of taking a pill. And, I always say in my classes, if you have a headache and you take an aspirin and the headache goes away, it doesn't mean your body didn't have enough aspirin. Okay. It means you blocked it. And this is what people are doing. And God forbid, every commercial on television is about another drug. I can sing them in my
no.
head. My husband listens to the news. I mean, every commercial is about a drug.
I know. And they're all laughing and dancing. It's like may
Yeah.
cause seizures, digestive
Right at
problems,
the end, and they come up with
suicide,
this
brain
plan.
tumors. It's like,
It's going to
okay.
kill you. But hey, look at the smiling
What's
people.
with those ads anyway? Yeah.
Because the people are so com full of toxicity and they've got all these barriers. They have no idea.
I
How
know.
you people. And so what is my mission now is to help people wake up. That's why I don't go, you gotta be a raw Buddhist, you gotta be plant-based, you got no, how do I wake you up to something new and different? How do
Mhm.
I wake you up so the process starts? So, like you're on one of those moving walkways and you get on and it just keeps taking you. You don't have to think about it. That's where I feel my mission is now. That's why come and spend a week with me in my retreat, whatever, so that you can witness, not you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And yes, I'm glad there are people out there doing that. That's needed too. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but that isn't my role anymore. My role is to help people find a way to grow, to change, to transition, to redirect.
Mhm.
How is that? Yes, I'd love it, but you know what? I get bored when I'm around all plant-based people anyway because they don't talk about anything but food,
Yeah, I know.
and
It gets a bit much sometimes. I agree. Yeah.
there's so many more aspects to who I am than my food. I play the piano, I dance, I garden, I do all kinds of things other than talk about food.
Hmm.
So I feel my mission and my direction now is to help people wake up to a new reality. I love this story when I still had my spa and I was on, and I had my colonic center, and there was a guy there waiting for his girlfriend, I assumed, in the colonic center, and he looked like a very typical. I don't want to say anything politically incorrect, but he had on a T-shirt that said "Death to the Infidels" and it had two rifles on it, two rifle brands. And he certainly didn't look like the type that would be at a colonic center, you know.
Yeah.
But I figured his girlfriend was there. And he was sitting there, so I walked by and I said, "Oh, what does your T-shirt mean?" And he said, "Nothing," and he could tell he was a little uncomfortable. And I said, "No, tell me what it means." He says, "Nothing." And he says, "Well, we shouldn't have migrants or whatever he felt, infidels in this country or whatever." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, I'm not in agreement." I said, "But you know what? The man was sitting there. He was showing so much love and care and tenderness to my dog." Okay. And that's what I saw. I saw the death, but I
Mhm.
saw the other side of him. He probably wasn't plant-based. He probably wasn't vegan. He probably went out hunting. Mary had a little lamb and all the things that I love and cherish. But he was so loving with my dog. I can't tell you how many raw plant-based people have been in my place and go, "Get that dog out of here." Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So we have to find something to find connection with every other human being in some way, somehow, somewhere. That's what I'm looking for. Because our whole world has gotten so divided. Are you high raw, low raw? Are you this? Are
Oh,
you
I
that? I mean,
know. I
I'm
know.
so over it. You
Me
know,
too. Me too. Me
I
too.
eat raw this many days. Who cares? What connection do we have other than food and pooping?
Yeah. All the divisions these days. I hear you. It's driving me crazy. Sometimes I even say to my friends, maybe I'll get rid of the food niche on this channel and just go more mainstream with other topics like sleep and this and this
Yeah,
because the
right.
food divisions and the food
Oh,
politics and the people fighting over food and even the raw vegans calling out other raw vegans and the vegans fighting other vegans. I'm just like, oh my God, guys, everybody just chill.
I'm telling, and then I'll tell you my other rant. only celery juice in the morning, only this for this, only that. God didn't put celery here and go, this is for a morning drink.
True.
I don't, I drink whatever I've got in the refrigerator, that's what I juice and drink. Okay.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
I'm detoxing, I may have specifics for the detox. Okay. Things that I'm working on. But for my everyday life, I just have this over here, I have this over here. I'm not living my life in the confines of some chart.
Yeah. I like that.
Right, of what
Yeah.
people have decided is right or wrong. So yes, I'm plant-based, I'm raw food, I'm for 10,000%, but there's so much more to life. And there's so much more that we can connect with other people, like the guy in
Yeah.
my, and when he and I ended up laughing and talking about dogs, he had hunting dogs. Well, I'm not into hunting, but the man was phenomenal with my dog, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm with you. I'm like that. I'm not, I am like the same way. And I remember, I know you said you saw him at the spa. I was at your spa. I don't know if it was last year, maybe the year before. And I think I tried so it was hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, I had some deep trauma in 2020 and it kind of like put me in a state of fight or flight. And I went through some trauma for a few years where my nervous system was just like in a lot of stress. And then, so someone was actually telling me the other day, oh, I read that hyperbaric oxygen therapy in heavy doses is good for trauma because Mel Gibson just did some podcast or something.
Right.
Said that if you do it in like heavy doses, it can reverse trauma. Is that true? And like, what are the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen therapy?
Well, if I could move with this, I'd show you mine downstairs in the basement. I have a hyperbaric chamber in my house. And I have had for about 25 years. Once again, it's not just the raw food. I'm very diligent about oxygenating my body. You see, when man was created, the oxygen levels were like about 38%. After the Industrial Revolution, we were down to 22%. And in Illinois, the Midwest, there's some places like Gary, it's 9% oxygen. We don't live or thrive without oxygen. So how
Mhm.
about this? I'm stressed. You're using up oxygen. Every time you're using up your oxygen force, you're not adding to it. You can't, when you do breath work, of course you can, and certain yoga things you can do for building up.
But a
But
lot
we
of us don't
just,
even do that, right?
exactly. So if you have access to a hyperbaric chamber, for God's sake, do it. You can live without food, you can live
Mhm.
without water, but you can't live without oxygen.
No.
Okay. So it is to me, and to that end, I'll do a little commercial. I have oxygen drops that I sell on my website that I take every day in addition to. When people come to me and they can't do all of these different things, I say, go to your local drugstore and buy some hydrogen peroxide and put a bottle in and soak in a tub. You'll oxygenate your body that way. It's like an ozone treatment. Oxygen, oxygen, and yes, he's right. Oxygen will help the stress. I just have a long way of going about answering your
No,
question.
it's a
But
great, no,
yes,
I'm interested. Okay, maybe I'll start doing it then because I've been hearing a lot about it. And I remember when I did just a mini session when I was at your place, but
right.
I remember I noticed the benefits. And any other tips for us, those of us out there that can be stressed out, how to like deal with that
Yeah.
stress and calm down?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Do keep your bowels moving. Make sure you're going to the bathroom regularly, because that's another thing, especially as women, we do. You get stressed and you kind of hold everything in, and things don't flow. So absolutely doing enzymes. I actually believe in doing greens, getting in lots of greens every day. There's a reason God put so much greenery on the earth, and it isn't just for picnics. So I do moringa, I do wheatgrass when I can. I do algae, I do spirulina, I do my green magic, which is the strongest one I have. I do all of them, and I don't just do one of them. They all have a slightly different cellular structure. But I don't say you start out with all of them. You find one you're comfortable with. A lot of times I start people on the green living fiber because it's a capsule you can take and it's got algae in it. And then when you've done that for a week, a month, or 2 months, maybe you might add. But this is how I started. I didn't all of a sudden start doing all of this. I was doing, what was I doing? I'm trying to remember the green I was doing. Maybe I was doing meringue or something. And I met Dr. Wigmore and I learned about wheatgrass. So I didn't stop the green I was doing before I added it on. And then I learned about spirulina. I didn't stop those. I added it on. And then the algae, the green algae I get from Victor, my teacher, I added that on. So I haven't just started all of these things at once. I think to set the intention that I'm going to have a green, some type form of algae, which is the oldest form of food to humans, is algae. It's a single cell food. You get your protein, your calcium, your B vitamins. You're getting everything from it. And I love spirulina. I put on salads, on everything. Make sure you find a way to get a green in every day. It can be with a juice too, but a green, some form of heavy green. It's going to help neutralize heavy metals in the body and all kinds of things. And then I'd say just making sure you get a good green and make sure you're pooping and going to the bathroom every day. And you'll get by and do a detox 4 times a year and give up
You're
all.
so funny because for somebody who doesn't like the word detox, I think we're at a
I know.
19 word count in this
I
podcast.
know.
I'm
I know.
joking. I love it.
Because no, it's true. Because when I started it, nobody used it like then. You were going to detox from alcohol or drugs or something. When we started 50 years ago with Dr. Wigmore, who started talking about it, and she had learned it from Kellogg and all of those people.
Hmm.
Uh, it wasn't like, but now, people come, they would come into my restaurant and go, "Oh, I'm doing a detox." And I go, "Oh, what is that?" "Oh, I'm not doing any flour today." It just has so many
So
meanings to
true.
it.
But let's face it, a lot of people these days do need heavy duty detoxes.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
this world is out of control, right? When you like this world is way more out of control with regards to food than it was when I grew up in the 80s. So I'm sure you're thinking even compared to when you
Oh,
were a little girl, is it not gotten crazy or what?
I mean, the world is so hostile for humans. I don't know. There's this program that used to be called Soul Train that we used to watch all the dancers. Dick Clark had it. And if you look at the people on the old TV shows and you look at the people on the TV shows now,
Mhm.
it doesn't match at all. And
No.
especially in my country, we've just come to accept people getting larger and larger. And I'm not here to body shame or tell anybody you shouldn't be happy with who you are, but
Mhm.
just know that it's an imbalance, and an imbalance, cause and effect, will show itself in some form of illness. And you can be the most beautiful, large woman in the world, but you don't see a lot of large 80, 90-year-olds walking around.
It's dangerous, right? It's
They
dangerous
don't live
territory.
that long.
It's dangerous. Carrying a lot of extra weight is dangerous. You're at risk for stroke and a lot of different things. And sometimes it's too late. I think a lot of people, it takes a big health crisis to want to turn things around. But unfortunately, sometimes you don't even get that chance to turn it around because it's just too late. Like, I know people that have had strokes, they can't even move one side of their body. They have to be carried to the bathroom every 20 minutes. It's just like, we don't want to live like that, right?
Yeah, but get them in a hyperbaric, that could start to turn around. I have worked with stroke
Wow.
victims. Get them in a hyperbaric, that can start to turn around.
Okay. And so with hyperbaric, you don't like in America, you don't need like a doctor's note or something, right? You can just go for those,
Some,
right?
I don't know, my
Okay.
spa, and I was doing it like 20, 30 years ago, and I didn't follow rules back then. Uh,
I love it.
I don't know, but you can purchase them. I even have access if people wanted to purchase them through me, the company that I've used, and can get discounts. You can purchase them for your home. They have
Okay.
even more easily accessible than the one I bought 1,000 years ago. But in my basement, I have a infrared sauna, which I believe sauna is so important to
Yeah.
cleansing. That's a form of detoxification. So I sauna regularly. I have a ozone machine. I do ozone, and I have a hyperbaric. I do ozone bathing. So it's not just raw foods. I do all of these
No.
other therapies, and I pray and meditate every day for breakfast. I
Wow.
detox 4 times a year. I do certain things that, like I do my oxygen drops. There's certain things that I do consistently in addition to, but it's just stuff I've learned along the way and I implement with everything else I'm doing. But I'll tell you, at the event I was at, there was a woman who was born in 1947 like me, and she was dear and precious and movement, but I felt like she was 20 years older than me.
Mhm.
So I do believe a lot of what I'm doing is right.
Yeah, and it's good because a lot of people think investing in these things is too much money. Like, the kale, the greens, the enzymes, the oxygen, or like the rebounding, or the cost of food. But look at you, like it's worked out for you and your path because I know somebody going for heart surgery this week and the health care is paying for it, but the surgery is 323,000 like and it's still a lot of expenses even with his health care covering that and just I know people were they like we were talking about before too, they can't even pay their health care bills. There's all these costs. So why not just try as much as we can to be healthy in all those other areas?
Well, if you put the money and time in the front, you don't have to put it in the end. You can work. You don't have to retire, because I'm not a big believer in retirement either.
Hmm.
But you can work. You can still be relevant. You can be a part of life. It may cost a little bit, but what does it cost to sit in front of a TV all day watching judge shows, getting sick and tired and overweight? Invest in yourself. Spend the money. I've been homeless and without food for my children, and I worked 3 jobs, saved my money, and bought a wheatgrass juicer. The old-fashioned one
Love
that was
it.
wood and then moved around. I've always put my money in myself. And that
Mm,
way you kind of grow broad shoulders to help everyone around you that
yeah.
ask.
Yeah. And I know you talked a bit about your products. And people always ask me, what's my favorite shampoo and conditioner? Actually, my favorite hair care that I ever used was the shampoo and conditioner I bought at your shop in over where you are. Do you have that on your website or no? I
I
was just
ship
thinking.
all over the world. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna order some and I'll put the link down below because that's a good, like, healthy shampoo and conditioner that you can actually brush your hair through. That's not like, a lot of them are like, oh, that one's really good. So good job.
And not only that, it's got all other things you can use it for. You don't have to just use it
Yeah.
for hair. It's got about 9 different things on the back that you can use it for lotion and all kinds of stuff. And it
Yeah.
cleans the hair. Well, thank you so much for the endorsement. I
No,
appreciate it.
it's
No,
amazing.
I sell my products all over the world actually. So you can go to my website and pick and my when my classes start, I will be starting my open Wednesday night too for people to come in that want to ask questions and talk to me. We were doing it for a while. So I'll keep you posted and
Yeah.
let you know what's going on.
Yeah, keep me posted. And you know a lot. Like you've had this great journey, you're thriving. So what comes to mind when I ask you maybe what are the top two or three greatest things in your life you've learned about health? Like anything at all, if you could leave behind two or three great pieces of information that you think are the most important things you've learned about health, is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think the food choices, of course, the choices we make are the most important thing because it's cause and effect. What you put in your mouth is what you become. And some people can fight certain things to a degree, but if you eat a chicken, that chicken becomes a part of you. If you eat a banana, that banana becomes a part of you. So I think the realization that everything that I put into my mouth affects everything from my emotions to my spirituality to my physical health to my relationships, it does. So I think food choices, being kind to myself for growth and learning, and knowing that cause and effect is what rules the planet. And everything that I do and say, there's an
Mhm.
effect it will have in some way, shape, or form.
I love that. Okay. Well, this has been amazing. I love having you on. We always have such great conversations. I have so much respect for you. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I admire you a lot. If there's anything you want to end off with, anything you want to share that comes to mind,
Well,
or
I want to
if
add,
not, yeah.
I really admire you because I kind of met you a few years ago where you weren't where you were with your interviews and stuff,
Hmm.
and you interviewed some amazing people. And what I love about the work you're doing is you're adding the normalcy to all of this. It's just you're making it normal no matter where you are, what you're doing. This is the normalcy to it. So I really respect the tenacity, and we need little female warriors like you out there
Thanks.
pushing the word and getting it over. And I just want to help people to understand that if they don't take care of their bodies, the most magnificent machines they'll ever be given, where will you live for now?
I love that,
So I
Karen. It's so
appreciate you so
true.
much.
It's so true. And where can everybody find you? I'll link everything down below.
Yes, and check me out on Instagram. I will be relevant there again. I've been away because I was away, and I'm not that person that posts while they're doing everything. I get so involved with what I'm doing, I forget to take pictures and post, So I'm
Oh
going to
yeah,
make
I
a
get
little
it.
reel.
That's good. You know. So okay, I'll put your website, all your products below, your Instagram, everything you give me. So go check out Karen, and I'll put the other videos we did together on the screen right now. We did one in Chicago, and we did another great podcast on Zoom a couple years ago. That was great. So I'll pop those up on the screen. Go make a juice, get some greens, and watch one of those. And I love you guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.